down right now so we don't miss any more good stuff. That is amazing. Okay, announce that again because that's an easy
Yeah,
clip.
it's an easy clip, right? I have recently been elected to be the president of the Broad Street Business Association.
I guess we'll put our applause in the replay edit. Always got to do that. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? By the way, welcome everyone to the Faith and Finances with Mildred Dillon, CPA, and Yanada Essex, my good friend and colleague and business associate as well. And
Yes.
so, we're just sitting here chit chatting before the episode. And she's announcing this great news. So, Yanada, why don't you tell us how that fits into what you're doing and just about the organization?
So, as you know, I am a licensed clinical social worker and I really love working with my patients, but I
Mhm.
also have a desire to work with the community. So, as a social worker, there is this micro level of work that you can do where you work with your patients and you work with their
Okay.
families, but there's also a macro thing that you can level of work that you do where you work with the community. And so, my work with the Broad Street Business Association, I see that as an extension of my work with the community and really empowering businesses to come together as well as to help the community with different social service activities. We've done MLK events, we've done cleanups on Broad Street. We're going to be part of this year. The headquarters is a barber a salon that does a lot of work in the community, Jamal McCall, and he's doing this thing for Father's Day. So that's another thing we're going to partner with him to
Okay.
really celebrate fathers in the community. So I'm really excited about this new role.
And I'm excited about it for you. And you're going to share with us about your presentations that you're going to be doing and just
Yes.
obviously the content of stress for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
But I noticed you always pull Broad Street into your bio. Still, that says something to me. And you've always kind of said, no, I like being in the mix. And
Mhm.
I guess that this is part of that journey.
Yes. Yes, it's definitely part of the journey. I make this slogan that I'm for the streets.
You do.
But and some people that means something in the community, it can mean something bad. She for the streets.
Oh,
But I mean it in a good
I
way.
talk like that, so that's why it never occurred to me. You're right. Like streets, a woman of the streets.
A
Okay.
woman of the streets. So I really love community. I really love
Okay.
being in the midst of where the people are and where the need is. And I think it comes from my upbringing, but it also is biblical because if Jesus was here, he would be in the streets. So that's why we have to be in the streets.
You said it's biblical.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if Jesus was still a man on this earth, he would be in the streets. He would be walking the streets. He would be
Well,
on Bourbon Street. He would be on Broad Street. He would be on Claiborne. He would be in the streets.
okay. And I just thought about something that I did say on a previous episode of this podcast about the prophetic word I got about marketplace
Yes.
ministry. And that just all ties together. You're so right about that. That's why I was able to thrive and still am thriving, even as
Mhm.
God is calling me back into the four walls, though, because I
Mhm.
think we can do both. I'm
Yeah.
watching you do
Yeah.
both. You
Yeah.
agree with that? We can do both.
Yes. We can do both.
Yeah, I went kind of cold turkey the other way, but yeah, it's interesting and exciting too, though. That's how I know the
Yes.
season is right because I do feel like when I talk about organized religion specifically and being a part of the weekly services and the ministries that are in those organizations, that's what I
Mhm.
call the four walls and organized religion. And so, marketplace is like you're saying, though, you're reaching people who would never touch the doors of a church and you bring in
Right.
church to them.
Exactly.
That is so
Exactly.
exciting. You know what? That's something I just learned about you too. I did not know it was on you that heavy to do that. I thought she just liked the area and she's derived from the area and stuff like that. Because I like the area. It's up the street from the radio show that I had years ago, WBOK. And I just remember enjoying hanging out. We would get off the air and go eat at a restaurant in the area just because I grew up
Mhm.
in the burbs. So it's like a
Mhm.
whole different energy out here in the boring burbs, as I call it, but it's uneventful. You don't have to worry about a lot going on. It's kind of simple and slow and quiet. But that's just exciting. So yes, maybe if you're listening to our conversation right now, this particular part of it, and you know you've got a ministry
Mhm.
inside of you. You got a business. I'm always kind of lean that way, but my business is my ministry. It
Exactly.
is the way that God helped me get over my fears and a lot of other hangups that He's still working with me on is through
Mhm.
my business. So you can agree with that as well.
Definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
tell us. Go ahead, elaborate.
Definitely, I really believe that I was made to be a social worker. I once told that to when after Katrina, I moved to New Jersey and I had a colleague and I told him that I was born to be a servant to other people and he took it like that was a like I was putting myself down. I'm like, no, I'm really was born to serve other people. And I really believe that God, all the gifts that God has given me
Yeah.
is crafted to be a social worker. I'm a great listener. I'm a very engaging person.
Yeah.
I naturally have leadership skills. I just really I can go in a place and even though I might not be the first person because I'm kind of quiet by nature, but I might not be the first person that would say hello, but I'm very welcoming. And
You
I think
are.
I think God just put all that in me to be easy for people to talk to me when I'm in the stores. People just come up and talk to me. And it's not anything that I have to do. I think they really sense that who I am in some kind of way. Of
Yeah.
course, God
Your
sends some
spirit.
people to
It's a
you.
spirit
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
You're calming, you smile because you're going to smile and be friendly. And that's a
Yes.
universal language. There's nothing spiritual, spooky about that or whatever. They said smile.
Exactly.
That's one of the first things I learned years ago. So I want to take a step back to what you said, how you always kind of knew you were meant to be a social worker, or did you always want to be? Did you know it as a child?
So, as a young person, I was very, like I say, quiet by nature. And so I had this great imagination.
Okay.
So when so I can be in a room and no one will even know I was in a room because I was in my imaginary world sometimes. So what I would say about that is that I think God has used that through the years. But to answer the question, I might come back to that. But to answer the question of what did I always thought I was going to be a social worker, the answer is really no. I
Okay.
wanted to be a fashion designer.
Oh, and
I
you
know.
look
So I wanted to be a fashion designer because I would always, again, me in this imaginary world and me using my imagination, I would come up with different things that I thought would go together on my dolls. Because we're talking about when you were a child, right? So
yes,
how I would dress my dolls and my remember we had those paper dolls back then,
I
remember?
do. Wow. Okay.
So you they had the outfits and you would mix and match with hats and shoes and all those things. So I really
Do
enjoyed that
remember
as
that.
I really enjoyed that as a young person. When I went to college, I realized probably when I was in high school, I took a sewing class at my high school, and I
Okay.
realized I don't know how to sew, and I wasn't learning how to sew very well. My mom helped me with my homework assignments,
Oh,
and I
wow.
learned that I didn't know how to draw. So you have to really know how to draw as a fashion designer.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You have to sketch things
Hmm,
to present it as with how you was gonna design
that's true.
things.
What's in your head?
Exactly. You have to show it. And I was not good at those things. So I was like, I kind of still want to be a fashion designer, but maybe not. But when I went to school, my undergrad is in psychology, and I really wanted to start helping
Mm.
people. I'm from the lower ninth ward in New Orleans, and I seen so much in my neighborhood. I realized that I really wanted to help other people, and I didn't know
Wow.
exactly what I wanted to do, if I wanted to be a teacher, if I wanted to be a nurse. And I decided that I wanted to be in a helping field. And it was not until I think I wanted to be a psychologist. And then after I graduated with my BS, I decided to go into social work. But I knew I wanted to help people. I just didn't know what field.
So this is just a curious question.
Mhm.
What is a social worker, number one? But then how does it differ from a therapist, or are they the same?
So they can be the same
Okay.
because a therapist, oh, let's say when you can graduate and become a licensed practical counselor. And a lot of them will go through the track of psychology in undergrad, but then they go to family life and family marriage and therapy. There's different ways of getting to get your license so that some people will become a family and marriage therapist. And
So specialties.
it's like a specialty. But for social work, the appeal of social work is that you can do so much with social work. You can become a LCSW like I am, and you can bill insurance companies for therapy. But a social worker can also work in the school system. Social workers can work in
Oh,
government. Social workers can, a lot of people think social workers take children away from you, right? Give you
right.
child protection, but that's not all that we do. We do not take children away from their families. We keep children safe when there is an issue of
Yeah.
safety in their
Yeah.
in the home. So social workers, what makes social works different from a lot of other these other fields is that we really look at injustice. We look at people who are oppressed, discrimination. That's part of our mission as social workers, to look at systems and to see what system
Society.
society. So that goes into the social work part. Social. So we look at societal issues and look at systems. When we are counseling, we are taught to not look at just that person. We look at the person in their environment and make
Mm,
an assessment
makes such a
and come up
difference.
with a plan. So we are different from other counseling professions because we are taught to look at the person in their environment.
That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you hear them used interchangeably, and it
Yes.
sounds studying and learning what you just said kind of gave you that this is how I want to do this.
Exactly.
How did you want to? So, what brought you to the place to where you want to do it as a business, as your business? Because I will say that's one of the things that always surprised me about you the first time I heard you speak, but the more that I hear you present, I say, yeah, she's been doing this as long as I've been doing. It's
Mhm.
so interesting. And it took a entrepreneurship ministry, shout out to Franklin Avenue Baptist
Yes.
Church, for us to connect, our paths to connect years ago. But I did not know that you've been out here in these here streets as long as I have. I did not know
Yes.
that.
I started my business in 2002.
Okay.
So I was about
Wow.
30 years old. I think I was 30 years old when I started my business. So my minor was business management. And when I was in school, I realized I wanted to help somebody, help
Okay.
others. And I also wanted to learn about business because I felt like life is about people and what they
Mm-hmm.
think, and
Mm-hmm.
then business. So
Right.
that was always a small seed that I would like to own a business one day. I don't know where that came from. Perhaps when I was a younger person, I used to sell snacks. Like when I was
Hmm.
I was really young. I was like about
Entrepreneurship.
8, 9 years old.
Entrepreneur.
I was selling snacks, pickles, I think frozen cups, something. My mom was doing something in church, and after she finished her fundraising, I picked it up as a very young person. I was no more than 10 years old, and I would buy these jars of pickles from Swagman's and sell
Wow. I
them for
remember
50
Swagman's.
cents. And it just was a seed that I think God just put in me to one day you're gonna own your own business.
Wow.
So
And be
I
running things.
and be running
That's the
things, right?
glamorous side, by the way. That's the glamorous side.
It's very glamorous. It's very glamorous. It's not what it appears. It's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
What about Katrina? Because you're starting kind of like at the same time that I came back from Pensacola, Florida, back to the New Orleans area and was working in the area with the nonprofits, and then Katrina. So, do you
Right.
have a Katrina story like so many of us? Was that a turning point in some kind of way,
It
especially with social
is.
work?
Yes. So I started my business in 2002 after a divorce. I got my license that year and I started the
Mm,
business that same year. So that was
mm,
2002.
okay.
And doing had a full-time job and then I had my business. And in 2004, I was like, I can't keep paying for a space and I'm not in the space because I have a full-time job. And in my
Yeah.
mind, I was like, I need to do something. So I took a leap of faith in 2004 and I went
Oh,
full-time.
Wow,
I
right
went
before
full
Katrina.
Yes, right before Katrina. So
Oh,
when Katrina took place, I was full time. I had just quit my job maybe 9 months before that. I can't remember exact. No, it had to been longer. It had to be almost a year because I quit the job or resigned in 2004. And when Katrina hit, of course, I didn't have my business, but I had a cell phone back then. And somebody had told me back then, because cell phones
yeah.
wasn't as popular, but it was getting.
Right,
And
right.
somebody was like, switch your phone to your office phone to your cell phone. So I left my office phone available to my patients who were all over, of course, all over the place. And I kind of felt like I was still in New Orleans because some people would still call me from time to time. What's going on with this? Can you tell me
Right.
how I can get this? I'm back in New Orleans. I need a social worker. And I would just make some referrals from there. But moved to New Jersey after Katrina. My sister,
Mm,
my aunt,
okay.
they were already there. So I lived in New Jersey, like Newark, Montclair,
Ooh,
which is right outside of New York, for about 3.5 years.
did you
And
like it?
I liked it. I really did. Because I was used of it because I would go visit my family prior to Katrina.
Okay.
I got a social work job. I was an adjunct professor for about 2 semesters. I really did enjoy it, but I felt back for the streets of New Orleans. I felt like if I'm going to help a population of people, Katrina just happened. I need to go back home. And
Wow,
that's
that's so
kind of
true.
was, yeah, I was like, if I'm going to help somebody, I need to go back home. And then I was very close to my grandmother who has passed away since, but she was here in New Orleans. So it was like family was drawing me back as well as social work was drawing me back to New
Yeah.
Orleans.
And when you left your job, how did you know it was time to do that? Because I know this show is not the one for entrepreneurs, but I meet people all the time who want to have their own business, but they don't know if they should. Or
Mhm.
what was a sign for you? I need to sound like Office Space. I'm paying for the space. I'm not using it.
That was definitely part of
You're so logical.
it.
Yeah, it's like I need to do something if I'm gonna pay for it. But what was it that said, yeah, I'm ready?
Yeah. For me, I would say that the times I've stepped out on faith to do my private practice, I've had it for many years, and there are different times I went back to full time, went back to part time, different things. It was, to be honest, sometimes I didn't like everything that I was seeing on my job, and I
Mm,
felt like
yes,
if I'm gonna do social work, I want to do it in a way that mix with who I am as a person and who I am as a social worker. I really felt like if I'm going to do it, I got to do it my way.
mm. And I think that's so true for those of us who believe that we're called to do this as our ministry or
Exactly.
what I call service to the world. This is why I was created. So it seems like we typically are going to see problems or we're going to see things that aren't being addressed. We're going to
Exactly.
identify the holes. For our Andre Barracks out there is always talking about the clues, context, things that are a tip off that I should do this more or I should do this in a bigger way.
Yes, I agree with that. And that's how I felt. I felt like there was something that wasn't being addressed. Of course, companies go into business, and even our businesses go into business to make money.
Of course.
However, the way some people, their philosophy in making money is different from my philosophy. I want
Mhm.
quality care for patients.
Yeah.
I wanted them to, it wasn't about quotas, even though
Yeah.
we have to make our own quotas, but it wasn't. I want my service to people to be about quality care more than a quota.
The
It can
pressure.
be on, yeah, it can be on the list, but it shouldn't be number one. And I think some jobs is all about the quota.
Yeah. And also, I was talking with a group just this weekend that
Mhm.
our jobs a lot of times don't give us that outlet, even if they're great jobs. They don't give
Right.
us the outlet that we need to flourish in our
Right.
own unique individuality, is what I've discovered and what I've heard other people say. So, yeah. So, I tell people look, jobs are a blessing. Get ideally, you love your job. It's seed money. I'm listening to
Mhm.
people now, especially with everything going on in the economy. You think the job is supposed to make you rich? No, the purpose for a job is to put seed into your hand, to
Right.
give you seed to now go create your own investment. meet your needs, and now you create your own. You're working someone else's investment and you're on a job. And so because you being a humble person that you are, you giving them some grace there to do it how they do it. But it's true. It is their thing. At some point, if you want to do it your way, yeah, there's that switch. And so I just encourage people to do it with some savings. Hopefully, we have a plan. Don't just leave a job. But I see a lot of that, and a lot of people being forced out too. So
Right.
hopefully, if they hear this message, they'll realize, look, okay, I'm not crazy. I was feeling that before they laid me off, or I was feeling that before the business closed, because these things are happening. So,
Exactly.
and you said that when you evacuated or when you left the area, that people called you back saying they needed a social worker. How
Right.
does someone know they need a social worker?
So if there's something that's going on with a person, they know something is not the same. They
Yeah.
don't know how to put their hand on it or know exactly what to put in, how to name it, but something is going on. It may be in their sleep, it may be in their stress
Mm,
level, in their relationships, in their
yes.
self-esteem. It's something that's going on with them that needs to be addressed. And when there is something that's going on, it may be even financial. Some people contact a social worker when they have lost a job or when they
That's
can't
true.
have enough money to pay their bills and they'll reach out to a social worker. So it may be a number of things. It's really about functionality. A lot of the stuff that we go through
Oh,
is a norm. A lot of people go through it. A lot of people go through things. But when your functionality is affected, then you may need a social worker. If you're not sleeping, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills,
okay.
if you have relationship issues, then that's when you contact a social worker or someone in the helping field to see
Or a
if they're
therapist.
a therapist, exactly,
How
to
do we know
see
what
if you
kind to
need.
get? Notice I said we because what you described was my whole 2025, I think, probably 2024. And I talked to you on the side about it, but I like the word you used. I still was functioning. No,
Mhm.
I wasn't happy, thrilled. I'm not living my best life and all this stuff, but I was functioning. I was
Yes,
sleeping. I was doing those basic things. So that triggered just now what you
mhm.
said because we go through the peaks and valleys, especially with a business. The business will put you in a valley. Just having a business and the journey through that. But can you function? So that is really interesting. So it sounds like it's a physiology thing for
Mhm.
sure. Financial. Never really
Right.
thought about people calling a social worker for that, but that's good to know. So let's talk about the business journey for you. The first rough patch you hit that almost made you give up, or did you ever feel that? Because I know you're in a business in demand, so maybe you've been fine. Some of us out here trying to explain what a money doctor is, and the money just I can't convert it. That's a little different, if that makes sense.
So probably Katrina would probably be the first because
Wow.
I remember I had just learned when you go into a business and your family is not part of have a business mindset,
Oh yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. So it's all trial and error when you're starting your business. And I remember I had just got comfortable with learning how to bill clients and do certain things. And I remember right before Katrina, I had just built a whole years of claims. And then
Nice.
Katrina took place. No, Katrina took place. I didn't get
Oh,
any of those claims.
receivables.
Yes, no receivables. So it was
Oh,
like, wow.
that's tough.
It was tough. It
Because it's
really
like the whole
was.
year was for nothing from a
Ex-
financial standpoint. So that is very tough.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was it
So you
was
stuck
tough.
with it. So you stuck with wait, but eventually you got paid though.
I don't think I did because I had
Wow.
moved and I didn't have claims. I didn't have my charts with me.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but I loved what I did. And I
There it is.
really just continue to just I lived in New Jersey, but I continue to have that. See, I'm going to go back to New Orleans, and I am going to bring brighter days because I didn't tell you the name of the business, and the name of the business is
Yes.
Brighter Days. So I'm
Brighter
like, I'm going
days.
to bring brighter days back to New Orleans one day, and then I came home, got a job so that I can get the seed to start my business again,
That's right.
and
Seed
that's
money.
what I did. That seed money. That's what I
Wow. So, okay. I normally say I don't do math after three, but it's not three yet.
did.
It sounds like you've been in business longer than 20 years then.
I've
Because
been in
Katrina's
business.
20. Katrina's 20 is 20 years. That right there. We hit 20.
So this year. It would be 24 years.
Whoa.
November of this year, it'll be 24 years that I've been in business.
That's a blessing. That's a
Yes.
blessing. And hopefully you're seeing the video podcast of this. But she's smiling. She don't look stressed. Too blessed to be stressed, she probably would tell you. But yeah, we can do this. We can do this. But we definitely need help. We need resources. We need tools. I know that I put money as a tool, is what I tell people. So if you don't have money, okay, what other tools you got? It faith. Faith
Exactly.
is a tool. Faith helps you keep showing up when you have none, because I've definitely been there. And so I guess that's what I would ask you with Brighter Days. And obviously, you in it to win it. You've been here. It's almost not a question anymore. What advice would you give to that business owner that's about to quit? By the way, I quit every few weeks. Last year, I was quitting every few weeks. I haven't quit this year yet. January, I was on the edge. But what advice would you give them? What word would you give them that could help them hold on a little longer until the breakthrough?
I would say really to remember your dreams. It
Mm.
goes back to dreamers, right?
Dreamers,
Remember your dream.
the risk reward, building something real.
Just remember your dreams. Remember that you can do it. It's not going to be easy, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that it's not going to not happen. And that push has always made me keep trying because I know that I want to provide brighter days to the community, to the world. And if I'm going to do it, I have to
Mm.
keep doing it. I have to keep showing up. It was really rough. We haven't talked about that yet. It was really rough during COVID. It was a rough time for nationally, but that's when I got the idea of turning my private practice into a wellness center and went into a bigger building. And that
Okay.
was a challenge, and I survived
Holistic,
it.
more
Hold it, yeah.
holistic.
Yes,
Okay. And that is when we reconnected, went to
that's when we
your
reconnected.
beautiful space. And I'm sure you still have all the beautiful things. So they're just
Yes,
going to end up somewhere else. But you're so right about that. I felt that healing. I felt that calm. I felt the building embodied what you embody. So it's
yes,
so true. That did translate. So I could vouch for that now that you're sharing that. So COVID was that next thing. And notice how we go through these years of calm in our
hmm,
business. I guess if we could ever say entrepreneurship is calm, but you do reach a point where the bills are paid and then some. I remember that too
yes,
for me, 2014. And so you just mentioned COVID being that next turning point. So we've
it
got
was.
all these turning points. Okay, so where are you today with all of that? Because COVID, yeah, it was even 6 years ago. It's so hard to believe how time has flown even after COVID. But let us know where you're at with that.
Back to your question, the original question is that I don't want to give up. And no
Mm,
matter what happens, I'm going to
yeah.
keep pushing through. So, where I am in the business right now is working virtually. I do have a virtual office, and I am just pushing through until I get my next physical location.
Virtual is great for the wallet, for the bank account, to build reserves. I always tell people while you're figuring it out, live lean. You want to have as few fixed things you have to pay as possible. But again, more challenges. Now you've got to reach people online. Your messaging has to be tight. You have to have all the social platforms in place. It's just one thing after another, it seems like with entrepreneurship now. So, yeah, so virtual services, which means a person could hear you and get your services.
If they're in the state of Louisiana or Massachusetts, I'm licensed in both of those states.
Okay, so what would the process be? Let's say you're here in Yanada, you're in those states. What would they do to start? What would an intake look like? I guess is what I'm asking, or what are the first steps to getting that help, that
Mhm.
support?
So you can do one of two things. You can call me directly, and that can start with a phone call, and I can give you more information once you call. We'll probably do a screening over the phone, see what's been going on,
Oh,
seeing how you're feeling, what's going on with you, how things are impacting your life. So you can call me directly, or you can go to my website. I guess I can give my telephone number. My telephone number is 504-941-5339. So you can give me a call, or you can go to my website, which is www.brighterdays.inc.com. And on my website, there is something in the middle of the page that say interested in services. It will bring you to a Google form and you can fill out your information. Then I will reach out to you. So those
Awesome.
are the best ways to reach out to me is by telephone or through my website.
That's awesome. Okay, so I know that you're going to be doing the bonus presenting for the Dreamers cohort, and she mentioned
Yes.
Dreamers first. I wasn't gonna really bring it up over here. Thank you for doing that. The Dreamers
Mhm.
cohort, it is a 90-day business and financial foundation program. And in layman's street terms, it is all of the solutions that I stumbled upon, learned, came up with, me personally, Mildred Dillon, CPA, to not only start a business, but stay in business and grow that business. So you'll be our bonus presenter, though, because we looked at
Yes.
our personal finances in month one, and then we're not done with that. I had thought of something just today. So we're going to have to continue digging into the details of our personal finances. We do that month one. Then our business, we start our business. We're in the middle of that now, month two and three. That can cause some stress
A lot of stress.
when you're looking at all your debts on one page, when you're seeing how much you spent eating out last month and groceries and things like that, because you
Mhm.
can't get that money back. And now we're running short for this. This is just reality. So
Mhm.
it does cause that stress. And you're going to be speaking to us about how to manage that stress.
Exactly.
What are some of the things, just a sneak preview, if you
Mhm.
will, that we're
Yeah.
going to hear?
So before I give the sneak preview, I really just want to talk about stress and money because it goes
Mm,
hand in hand.
mm,
Because sometimes when we don't have money, then we overspend and bring ourselves more in debt. We
okay.
don't have money to pay all our bills, but then we might take some of our bill money and do different things
Go to
with
the
it
festival.
and go to festivals. Exactly. And then when we don't have, if we don't know what to do with our money, that's why I believe that Dreamers cohort is really is an excellent cohort because if you don't know what you don't know until you find out you didn't know it.
Right, right.
So it's so
It's
important to
true.
get this information in order
Yeah.
to have a better knowledge of how to use your money and when to use your money and how to organize and budget and do all these different things. So I just wanted
Mhm,
to say that
mhm.
sometimes the way we spend our money causes stress, and
Yeah,
sometimes because we are going through stuff, we do things to soothe ourselves so
it's true.
much, and it brings more stress for us. We think we're solving the issue, but sometimes we're creating an issue. And when you're a business
Mhm,
owner, on top of all that, you managing your business, it just brings on so much stress
mhm.
because again, we talked about having a being a business owner is very glamorous. It sounds good to be I'm my
Sounds
own
good.
boss.
Mm,
I'm my own boss. I make my own money. I make my own schedule, but you have all these tasks to do all the time. It's, if you don't manage your time, you could be working
whew.
all of the time.
Yes,
So it just brings on so much stress.
take
And
the break.
sometimes you have to take breaks. So to go
Mhm,
into stress, some of the things that you need to do is to be mindful of what are your stressors and
mm,
what can you do to bring down your stress. And one of the things I advocate for people is to rate their stress. If
mm.
you are stressed, what is your number? What's your level of stress? Is it a 2? That means you're maybe not that stressed. But is it a 5? Is it a 7? Is it a 9?
Yeah.
One more thing can put you to a 10 if 10 is the
Mm.
highest level.
One
So
more
it's
thing.
so important to know where you are in your stress level and then what can you do to bring it down a little? Because it's not about the absence of stress.
Okay.
Life is stressful.
Right.
It's about how you manage your stress.
Is your
Mhm.
feel. You got to check out Yanada's presentation. She's a part of our cohort every week, obviously, but this is open to the public. So you don't have to be a member of Dreamers cohort. Check it out though, dreamers.yourmoneydr.com.
Mhm.
But we're going to put the link in the show notes so you can register. And then, yes, if you're trying to build something real, check out Dreamers cohort because enrollment is still open.
Yes.
Amazingly, everything's recorded. It's in a
Okay.
nice portal where you can go and start from the beginning, get the downloads, the handouts. You'll get caught up. Do you have any events coming up other than the bonus presentation? If people maybe want to check out, maybe part of the Broad Street, maybe give us those announcements again. Feel free to do that.
Yeah, there's a number of things that's coming up. Also, Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, we're having a mental health forum that we do every year, and it's going to
Okay.
be in July the 25th. But keep in mind, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm.
So I
And that's
definitely
why you're wearing
encourage,
green?
and that's why I'm wearing green.
Can you explain that? Because I thought it was about money. When I see green, I know it's about health too, though, right?
So every May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We want people to just be more aware of their mental health and to break the stigma of mental health. A lot of
Mm.
people do not get the help that they need or that they want because there is a stigma when it comes to mental health that something is wrong with you or
Yeah.
just pray it away. You're going to be fine. But some stuff needs to be
Yeah.
addressed professionally or within a community, but it won't go away until you face it. So this month is all about facing what's going on with you mentally and emotionally.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And do you find the stigma is less now because people are
It's
coming forward more?
it's a little bit less, but it's still out there. It's a little bit
Mm.
less because of COVID. More people are coming into therapy because you can do the virtual sessions. You're not going into a building. People are not seeing you. It can be in
Yeah.
your office, in your home. No one
Yeah.
knows you're in therapy. So it is a little bit less, but the stigma is still out there.
How do we know if insurance will pay for it? I'm thinking
You
of all
most
these questions.
insurances do. Most
Really?
insurances
I
do
should
pay
check and see
for
if
it.
I can get some therapy.
Yes. Most
Hey,
insurances do
more
pay for
tools.
it. Yeah, more tools.
Okay. I did not know that most insurance would pay for this.
Yes, and there are some EAPs,
Mm.
employee assistance programs that your company may pay for it. They have a
Okay.
program that they set aside for maybe short-term therapy, and it's just a way of introducing yourself to therapy. And they may give you 3 or 4 sessions with the EAP, but then you can use
Yeah.
your health insurance after that.
Yanada, thank you for joining me today on the Faith and Finances and the Money Doctor podcast. We're going to post this content on both
Okay.
shows. Okay. You've already given us how to reach you, but go ahead and give it to me again so that less editing.
Sure. Sure. So my telephone number is 504-941-5339. My website is www.brighterdays with a S INC,
Mhm.
and I'm on most social media platforms with Brighter Days Inc. Some variation of that. Some of it is an underscore, some of it's straight out, but you'll be able to see Brighter Days INC and you'll see my logo, Brighter Days, a wellness center for you.
I love it. I love it. And hopefully, what I'm looking forward to is more of the holistic. Like I'm
Yes.
sipping on my tea here. I always
Yes.
think about you when I'm having the tea. So we'll see all of that if you go to her website.
Right.
You'll see some of those other holistic services. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us. I look forward to
Thank
seeing you,
you.
look, sooner rather than later in Dreamers
Exactly.
Cohort. If you would like to be a part of this show in any kind of way, you've got a story of faith and finances, want to invite you to reach out to me. Everything didn't have to be about money. A lot of it is just about our journey and telling of our stories so that we can help other people get there easier, faster, and with a lot less stress is what I
Yes.
always say to it because we're all in this together. And so, Faith and Finances podcast, thank you so much for listening. Mildred Dillon, CPA, here saying you can reach out to me on any of my platforms at mdilloncpa or mdilloncpa.com. You'll learn more about the Money Doctor at both of those places if you need help with your accounting or anything on the practical side. We also put that show, the Money Doctor, Money Talk for Modern Entrepreneurs podcast, always put that link in the show notes as well. So you can hop right on over there and get some of the tactical help that you may need. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next
Thank
episode.
you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.